Traffic jam. It's, hello. I'm heading back from Sherwood. Yeah, I, went all the way to Sherwood today. Let's see. So much crazy stuff has been happening. I'm gonna be honest, I kinda get a little bit bitter when I'm against people who just say it's not true, because all the stuff that I've done, it's like, you can't get it all out. You can't convince everyone. You can't tell them every last detail that led up to you knowing about it. It's confusing, but it's kind of like, it's like a puzzle, you know? It's like you got to get all the pieces, and then you figure out how to put it all together, and you know, it's like a puzzle of just the worst things possible. Just awful things. You never know who's watching the show either. You never know. I mean, there's so much I wish I could say, but, you know, this is to everybody, so there's a lot I can't say. But yeah, generational Satanism, you know? You just keep finding more and more victims, more survivors of it. You know, what I'd like to do is I'd like to meet a person who's currently going through it. I would like to meet someone who's currently going through it, who needs out of it. I mean, I've met a lot of people who have, who are out of it now, who are no longer victims, but who were as children, you know. Most of the victims are children, but every so often there's an adult that's been abused by a cult. And it's a very, I mean, actually I've only ever heard one instance of that, so I can't really say that, but yeah. Yes, there's just devil worshippers out there, you know, they just do it, they just do. Like, they literally just go up and worship Satan and just commit the most atrocious acts of mankind. And I have friends who have survived it, and they're very good friends of mine, and it's a battle, because they don't always, because those things will leave a mark, you know, going through that. It'll leave a scar mentally, and, you know, it's not that they're crazy, it's just that they've been mentally scarred. Everybody who's probably crazy, I think, was at one point okay until something broke them. You know what I mean? You ever gone to a mental asylum? I haven't, but I've heard enough stories. And yeah, that was, but, you know, it's actually super common, and one thing I've noticed is they always tend to have this very vague, nondescript, subhuman, just vagueness about them. Just like, you know, it's weird. You know, if you look up Thomas Dune, he made a, Thomas Dune, D-U-N, he made a documentary called Detestable, and, it really does shine a light on it. It's just a very good expose. You know, some people like to call it sadistic ritual abuse rather than satanic. It's the same thing, it doesn't matter, and there's so many people out there who identify as Satanists who are completely law-abiding citizens and all, but they just don't like the fact that they don't like using the correct terminology. So when, you know, they don't like to admit the fact that the people who do this are also called Satanists, because to do that would be like kind of giving them a bad reputation. Like, oh, I'm a Satanist. Real Satanists don't do that, so they must not be Satanists. They must be something else. It's like, no, they're Satanists. You can call them devil worshippers. It just doesn't matter, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about rebellious teenagers. I'm talking about generational Satanists. And I live in an area of the world where it's extremely common. It's just the West Coast, you know what I mean? It's just the way it is up here. So, you know, most people, they don't want to talk about it, or they refuse to believe it, because, you know, it's so far outside of their reality, so far outside of their own life. that why would they, and it doesn't affect them at all, so why would they take that extra mental energy and focus it towards something that is never gonna even affect their lives in any way, especially when it's so hard to deal with mentally. So, you know, a lot of people just focus on their own lives. Lives can be hard to maintain, so most people just don't think about it. They, you know, or, you know, it's just not something most people deal with. It just sounds like a conspiracy theory, and it's not a conspiracy theory. It's as simple as the fact that there's good and evil people in the world, and there's actually a lot of evil people as well as good people. So, and they actually are evil to the fullest extent, not just evil as far as what you hear about on the news. There are far reaches of evil out there that are extremely, like, the maximum level of evil that actually does exist. It's not it's not a it's not made up. People actually do get that bad, as worse as you could possibly imagine. If you stretch your imagination to the farthest reaches of horrible, that is exactly what people in general Satan cults do. It's worse than or equally as bad, but well, it's as bad as they do it in third world countries, you know, when they douse the kids in acid and stuff like that, but they do that kind of stuff here too. But it's not just because they broke some sort of spiritual law or sacred law. It's because it's sadistic. It's sadism, and that's satanic. And Satanism and sadism are basically, you know, the same thing. Not necessarily like Satanism is sadistic, but not all sadism is satanic. I mean, I think it is, but technically, not all sadism is necessarily satanic. But, you know, it's not a good night and everything.